call to order. I would take a thumbs up on video if you can't speak for roll call. So I'm going to call the public hearing of December 9th to order. This meeting is convened by electronic means. As such, council members may participate in person or by electronic means. Please ensure your video is turned on and let us know if you're leaving the meeting. If you this will be especially essential since there's only 6 of us on right now. So let us know if you're leaving, and we'll take a recess to accommodate you. Council members are reminded that I get that part. Members of the public can view the proceedings via live stream and YouTube, which will be tweeted out at Van City Clerk. Of course, as always, we acknowledge we're on the traditional and ceded territories of the Musqueam, Squamish, and Tsleil-Waututh people. And thanks so much to staff for all their work. So can we have the roll call, please, clerks?
Sorry about that. Mayor Stewart in the chair, Councillor Carr.
Here.
Councillor DiGenova.
Present.
Councillor Fry. Councillor Fry.
Here. Here.
Councillor Swanson is absent due to a conflict. Councillor Hardwick.
Present.
Councillor Weeb.
Present.
Councillor Boyle has a leave of absence for personal reasons. Councillor Dominato has a leave of absence for personal reasons. Councillor Bly. Okay. Councillor Kirby-Young has a leave of absence for personal reasons. And the hearing has quorum, Mayor Stewart.
Thanks very much. Right, so the public may participate by speaking in person, by phone, or by submitting written comments to council. Speakers have 5 minutes to make their comments and should limit their comments to the merits of the report being considered and indicate if they're a resident of Vancouver or not. Speakers should follow along on Twitter at Van City Clerk for updates on any progress of the meeting. And you can make comments on our online web form, which link is also tweeted out. Speakers who are pre-registered for presentations will help you through that. And please avoid using gendered honorifics and instead use address people by first and last name, role, or title. We're a quasi-judicial body here this evening, which means we're only to consider the merits of the rezoning application or heritage designation. And we can approve, we can refuse, or we can refer the application for further staff for further consideration in terms of outcomes. And if we don't conclude this evening, we will reconvene Wednesday, December 15th at 6. So our first rezoning is on Victoria Drive, and I'll get clerks to read the application.
This is an application by Catalyst Community Developments to rezone 5590 Victoria Drive from Commercial District to Comprehensive Development District to permit the development of a 6-story mixed-use building containing retail and office uses at grade and 54 secured rental housing units. A height of 22.3 meters and a floor space ratio of 3.49 are recommended. The General Manager of Planning, Urban Design and Sustainability recommends approval subject to conditions set out in the summary and recommendation. The following correspondence has been received since referral to public hearing. 3 pieces of correspondence in support and 1 piece of correspondence in opposition. This represents all correspondence received up to 5 p.m. today.
Thanks very much. Anybody who'd like to speak to this, please call toll-free 1-833-353-8610, code 1061445, a hashtag before the close of the speakers list, and I'll read that number out a number of times. Clerks, I'm going to ask if the one registered speaker is on the line.
Not yet, Mayor Stewart.
Any indication that the speaker will be, did you ever reply to your email or anything like that?
Yes, the speaker did email back saying they were just having a few issues, but they were trying to connect. Okay,
right. So it's still up to council if we want to see the presentations, and we still have a number of times to call for speakers. Did council wish to see the presentation?
Happy to move move that we waive the presentation.
Sure.
But I'll withdraw that if anyone else wants
Yeah,
to.
would anybody like to see it, or would you just like to?
I'll second that.
Okay, thanks. Or all in favor of waiving the presentation? Yay.
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 Opposed, nay? Okay, thanks very much. So we're going to hear from the public now. Going to ask, first of all, if the applicant team is here to speak to the, sorry. Yeah, applicant team, are you here to speak to the application?
Yes, we are. It's Luke Harrison from Catalyst.
Hello, would you like to, we could, you can give a presentation or just answer questions?
I've got a 2-minute presentation verbally, so maybe I'll just run through it and
Okay.
happy to take questions.
Great, thank you.
Thanks. Good evening, Mayor and Council. Thank you for the opportunity to speak this evening and for considering our proposal for the affordable rental housing on Victoria Drive. My name is Luke Harrison, and I'm the president of Catalyst Community Developments. We're a nonprofit real estate developer as well as an owner, operator, and operator of affordable and below market rental housing across BC. We operate over 500 rental homes across BC and have another 800 in construction and development. In addition to housing, we create program and operational spaces for community-based organizations and approach development with the purpose of creating community within our projects and the neighborhoods we're part of. We know the successful outcomes of community-focused development are improved health and well-being for tenants, as well as increased and equitable access to opportunity. Catalyst works with municipalities, churches, community groups, and businesses that own land and wish to see it used to create community benefit in the form of affordable rental housing. On this project, the landowner is Vancity Credit Union. We have signed a 99-year lease with Vancity to build this project, which will include a Vancity branch, 54 pet-friendly affordable rental homes, and a small retail space in Victoria, which Catalyst will rent to support the affordability of the project. Not only are we very appreciative of this land contribution from Vancity, which will lead directly to more affordable rental housing, but we want to share how effective this kind of partnership between business and community housing builders can be as a solution to the housing crisis. The need for housing is also having a devastating effect on the businesses to attract and retain employees. This kind of collaboration points to an innovative solution I believe the city should be trying to promote. Real estate that was once critical to business operations, particularly standalone retail and office, is seeing decreasing demand with distributed workforces and e-commerce. Incenting redevelopment of real estate for more community housing aligns objectives between the cities and the businesses that account for the majority of jobs coming to them. Finally, it's easy to get lost in the building design and zoning details, but it's really important about the people that will call this place home. We hope that this building will soon become home to 54 households, or about 75 people, singles, families, seniors, and couples, with rents affordable to local area incomes. Affordability targets are at least DCL waiver rates for all the building, with 30% of the homes to be offered at or below housing income limits. We have a vision for rental housing that is affordable to the people working in the businesses and services that are established within the Victoria Drive community, including the tellers at Vancity, retail associates at London Drugs, teachers at Cunningham Elementary, and firefighters at Hall 20. With your support, this project will give more people access to the opportunities, services, and amenities that the communities and strong economy of Vancouver already provide. But it will also show the many businesses that want to come here and grow that they can support and be part of the solution. Thank you, and we look forward to any questions or feedback.
Thanks so much. I'm going to ask now, does council have any questions to staff or the applicant?
Yeah, point of privilege,
Oh,
Mayor.
yes, go ahead, Councillor Carr.
Yeah, thank you. I hadn't realized that the land was owned by Van City Credit Union.
Yes.
I'm a member of the credit union, and I'm wondering if that puts me in conflict. I'm so sorry that I hadn't realized that beforehand, but I wonder if we have staff that can advise on that.
Actually, I had advice on this, Councillor Carr, because I am also a member of Vancity, and I was advised that because of the general nature of this, we're not in conflict and able to vote.
Good to know. Thank you so much, Mayor.
Thank you. Any questions to staff or the applicant? No? Okay, thank you so much. So I'm going to check with the clerks now if there's any public here to speak to this. Nathan Davidovich is the registered speaker.
Yes, he is on the line.
Nathan Davidovich, please go ahead if you're ready.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor and members of council. I'm also a member of Vancity with over 45 years, and I'm very happy that the credit union is building housing, affordable housing for people in Vancouver, and I hope more could be done. I didn't know that I presume the credit union is leasing the land for 99 years. That was not indicated in the application that was posted on the city website. And I presume that's why the staff couldn't answer my questions. on this application. And my question basically relate to the article that was in the Vancouver Sun on October the 4th on page 83 by Douglas Todd, how things are happening in the city where somebody has a property built on both of the sides of their house or whatever, and they are locked in, and they can't really redevelop much because the other properties are so close to their house, and they were not bought at the same time. Well, it's somewhat similar here. This is a half block that's bounded by lanes on both the north side and the east side, and 40th Avenue and Victoria Drive on the other side. And when the credit union first moved in there, they owned, I think, about half of the half block. And then they bought a couple of more properties to expand the credit union. And I assume that maybe that many years ago, the last remaining property did not want to sell to Van City. So here we are, 99-year lease. There's one property left north of the credit union that is about 70 or 80 years old, a very old commercial two-story property. And now the new development will suffer for the next who knows how many years because of the way this block is designed. Instead of 54 housing units, if Van City or the operator, whoever it is, would buy that single property to complete the consolidation of the whole half block, it probably can put in maybe 80 units of housing, because it would make it so much easier to build when you control the whole half block than the way it is now. So I don't know why those locked-in properties are not being reported to council, or why the planning department even accept applications when there is these types of things. The article in Vancouver Sun points to Marine Drive. I can point you to Oak Street, where there's two houses. On both sides, there is apartments, and those two houses are locked in, and there's nothing they can do. Because even if they want to build something, they can only build houses basically, or maybe townhouse. But it's something that's been discussed many years ago, and I presume somebody in the planning department doesn't want to build with lock-in properties. I don't know why, or doesn't want to report it to council, but. We can build so many more housing units here and on Marine Drive and Oak Street and so forth, affordable housing units, if things are done properly. So, but that's my comments, and I'm very happy that Van City is building housing, and hopefully they can do that in other locations and maybe other places. So, thank you very much for your support.
Thank you for your call tonight. I don't see any questions for you, and thanks again for your participation. I'm going to make my first call for speakers to this item. 1-833-353-8610, code 1061445 #. So that's the first call. Clerks, anybody else on the line for this item?
Just checking. No.
Okay, second call, 1-833-353-8610, code 1061445 #. And I forgot to ask, is there anybody in the chambers then on the second call?
No one in the chamber and no speakers on the line.
Great, so we'll make our third call now for speakers, and it is 6:20. We'll come back at 6:25 to conclude this item. So we'll see you at 6:25, 5 minutes, Council. And with the third call, are there any other speakers for this item, clerks?
I'm just checking.
Thank you.
There's no one in the chamber. And yes, we do have a speaker on the phone.
Great. Okay, thanks. I'll call for that speaker. And if you could let us know your name and whether or not you're a resident of Vancouver, that would be great.
Yes, hi. Can you hear me?
Sure can. Yes, please. You have up to 5 minutes.
Okay, thank you. My name's Patrick Gannan. I live on 39th Avenue, just east of Victoria Drive. And I am a bit concerned about the amount of parking at this complex. I see that they have 54 units. I understand the social housing aspect and the assumption that people living in the social housing, component, or I understand a reduced rental amount would in part mean that they're not going to have vehicles. I find this a bit hard to believe. That with 26 parking spaces for 54 units, potentially, as your man commented at the beginning, 75 individuals living at the complex, assumes almost 30% of the people only have vehicles. And yet it's assuming that 145 bicycle people will be using bicycles. Right now our streets are very congested. 40th Avenue is already resident permit parking only. 39th is not parking, permit parking yet, and yet we do have quite.
Sorry, speaker, you're cutting in and out a bit, a little bit on your phone.
Oh, sorry about that.
That's okay, no problem.
The parking on 39th is already heavily congested and requires, as I'm sure many of you know, driving in the city, a kind of a give and take in terms of going east or west on the streets, because of the parking on the side of the road. I'm concerned that with a unit such as this, with friends and residents parking in the neighboring areas, that it will only become worse. And then what will happen to these people when, presumably, I would think 39th too has to follow 40th and become resident permit parking only. I think that Van City should consider increasing the amount of parking available for this development to proceed. In addition, they present this possibility of 2 commercial units on the Victoria Street and providing only, I think I heard from your man at Van City before in a previous email, they're only allowing for 6 parking spaces, I guess at the ground level for that. And I can't see how that would be in any way effective, given that there's obviously going to be people working in those spaces and potentially workers, or if it's a retail space, then customers. So all in all, I can't see that 26 parking spaces for a building of this size being in any way adequate for the community. I just conclude there, Mayor.
Okay, thank you so much for your time tonight. I don't see any questions from councillors, so thank you for your participation this evening.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Clerks, anybody else in the line for this item?
No, and no one in the chamber either.
Okay, thank you for that. So we're going to now close the speakers list on this item, and since we had few or no public comments after 5 p.m. today, we're going to close the receipt of public comments and ask the applicant, does the applicant have any closing comments on this item?
No, we do not. Thank you.
Okay, thanks. Staff have any closing comments?
No, we don't. Thanks.
Council have any questions for staff? Let me just check here. I don't see any councillors on the queue. Thanks so much. So can we have a mover of the recommendation, please?
Yeah.
Oh,
Second,
unless
Councillor Carr.
wants to do
Councillor
it.
Dejanova, seconded by Councillor Carr. Thanks so much. I'll just move us to a debate queue. Does anybody like to say anything? And if you're on remotely, you can always ask for assistance from me, the chair. Anybody want to talk about this at all? I don't see anybody on the queue, so we'll call the vote on this item.
Vote assist in favor.
Councillor Weed, vote assist in favor, please, clerks. Councillor Fry. Saw Councillor Fry. Okay. Clerks, Councillor Weave indicated he wanted a vote in favor. Here we go. And Councillor Bly is absent. Great. Okay, so we can show the results that has passed with unanimously with this small group of councillors. So thank you so much, Council, for that item. Thank you to the speakers and all who participated in this this item. Councillor Carr, if we can text Councillor Swanson to get her. Okay, thank you so much to get Councillor Swanson in, so we have a little breather on the quorum. We can wait for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, I think we just double checking that we still have Councillor Fry here. Councillor Fry, are you still here?
Yeah.
Great.
I'm in chambers now. Actually,
Oh, you are. Oh, that makes okay. Thank you so much. We're going to move to item number 2. Hello, Councillor Swanson. This is a rezoning on 1650 Alberni Street. And ask first, does any member wish to declare conflict of interest on this item? If not, I'll have the clerk read the application and summary of correspondence.
This is an application by IBI Group to rezone 1640 to 1650 Alberni Street from residential district to comprehensive development district to permit the development of a 43-story residential building with 198 strata titled and 66 secured market rental units, of which 20% are to be below market. A height of 117.3 meters and a floor space ratio of 14.97 are proposed. The General Manager of Planning, Urban Design, and Sustainability recommends approval subject to conditions set out in the summary and recommendation. The following correspondence has been received since referral to public hearing. 5 pieces of correspondence in support, 2 pieces of correspondence in opposition, and 1 piece of correspondence dealing with other aspects of the application. This represents all correspondence received up to 5 p.m. today.
Thank you so much. Let's see here. So I know we have no speakers on this item, Council.
Move to waive presentation.
Thank you, Councillor Carr. We have a seconder.
Councillor Dejanova.
Thanks. All in favor of waiving the presentation, yay.
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 Opposed, nay. Thanks so much. So I'm going to ask now, is the applicant team here to speak to the application?
Yes, Mayor Stewart, they're just coming to the podium.
Hello.
Great. Thank you so much.
Good evening. My name is Martin Bruckner. I'm with IBI Architects. We are working together with SOM Architects on the design of this project. And our team will make a brief presentation to you.
Okay.
We have in attendance here are the developer, as well as the Michael Temple from SOM, and also Chichi Kai from Brook 20. We'll take you through briefly how this design has evolved. Next slide, please. Just to let you know, the purple outline is the location of the site on Alberni Street, 1600 block. There are other rezonings already approved immediately around this site, and you can see which ones they are. And there's also other rezonings that are in progress in this immediate neighborhood. I'll turn it over to Chichi. Thank you.
Thanks, Martin, and good evening, Mayor and Council. So next slide, please. So we've been working and engaging on this project for 3 years now, including a tenant meeting in November 2019, and probably one of the last in-person pre-application open houses in January 2020. Our rezoning application was formally submitted in June 2020. We appreciate the hard work and the good working relationship we have established with staff, and thank them for getting us to this public hearing tonight. So next slide. So this rezoning is being considered under the West End Community Plan. The site is located within the Georgia Corridor sub-area, which is an area where growth and new housing opportunities are to be focused. Next slide. In addition to a new supply of housing, the project includes 66 replacement rental units, 20% of which, or approximately 13 units, will be provided at 20% below CMHC average. The project also focuses on families, with 62% of all units containing 2 or more bedrooms. Lastly, the project will contribute $32.7 million in cash CACs to support the delivery of the West End Community Plan's public benefit strategy. Next slide, please. So Prospero is a building manager and tenant relocation coordinator. As mentioned, we've been working with tenants since late 2019. We've been keeping the tenants informed of the application as it progressed, including invitations to the open houses and letter updates following referral and in advance of tonight's public hearing. The building manager has also been in regular contact with the tenants, assisting them with their relocation needs and providing them with their financial compensation immediately upon move out. Next slide. Tenant assistance is being provided as per the city's tenant relocation and protection policy. As of November 2021, 22 out of the original 66 tenants remain in the building. All eligible tenants have been made aware of their tenant assistance policy. I'll now turn it over to Michael from SOM to touch upon the highlights of the proposal.
Thank you, Chichi. And good evening, everyone who's joined online, including the mayor and council. On behalf of the entire team, I want to thank you for considering our project at 1650 Alberni. This slide is a summary of the statistics that define the project. And now I'd like to take a few minutes to walk you through the big ideas that drove our design concept. Next slide. Zoning rules here dictate a compact footprint of 5,500 square feet, and setbacks on all 4 sides define the position of the tower on the site. So with those things defined, we wanted not an extruded volume, but to define the project as a stack of individual trays 1 story high. Next slide. The next step was to extend exactly half of the trays to the east and west sides, and to take the other half of the trays and extend them north and south. The extension of the trays are offset to create balconies on each floor, providing direct contact with outdoors for every home in the tower. These continuous balconies are 2 floors apart on each side. Next slide. Next slide. Next slide. The combination of these 2 simple ideas, compact volume and distributed overhangs, add up to an intelligent, passive, high-performance design that both blocks summer sun and glare while allowing passive heating and direct light in winter when it will be appreciated. Next slide. Looking at the site plan, thanks to input from staff and from the UDP, we have continued to refine our development of this area. Next slide. Here in an updated plan, you can see that a lane-facing studio has been removed, and a children's play area, which was once located in the southeast corner, is now moved up into the 7th floor rooftop. Next slide. Moving up through the 6-story podium of the project, you can see that the base now extends and connects to the adjacent Alberni neighbors. A shared roof terrace at level 7 provides outdoor spaces for all residents here, including space for the children's play area and some for urban agriculture for residents. Next slide. Climbing up through the tower now, we introduced 3-story corner sky gardens that create a uniquely sculpted tower silhouette. Next. These large subtractions lighten the overall sense of mass of the tower and help to give it a distinctive presence on the Vancouver skyline. Next slide. The open corners make space for enlarged terraces and open views at the corners. Next. Finally, where the tower culminates at the sky, we've worked directly with planning staff to refine the design over the last few months. At their suggestion, we reduced and shaped the uppermost levels to lighten the tower's top as it meets the sky. The rooftop now incorporates terraces, landscape, and features 25% green roof area. Next slide. In conclusion, I'll leave you with this slide, which highlights many of the good things about this project. And I want to thank you for your time and let you know that our team is standing by to answer any questions that you may have. Thank you.
So much for that presentation. Let's see. So this is your chance to ask questions, Council. Before we don't have any speakers to this registered. So if you do have questions for staff or the applicant, this is a good time to ask. And sorry, I'm just getting my computer sorted out here. 1 second. Sorry, Council, I'm just having a little trouble with my screen here. There we go. Okay. Councillor Swanson, you're up for 5 minutes to staff or the applicant.
Yeah, to whichever one knows the answer, what are the current rents in the existing apartments?
Maybe start with staff.
Thank you, Councillor Swanson. We have staff from the housing group here to speak to that.
Hello, Alexander Brzozowski, housing planner. At the time of the application in 2020, in June, the average rent was $1,300 for a studio unit and $1,524 for a one-bedroom. And since that time, the current rents now, the units have been rented out again at a lower rate. So the average currently, if for a studio, is $850 and $1,150 for a one-bedroom, in recognition of the fact that the housing tenure will be much shorter should this application be approved.
And what will the rents be in the 66 units that are replacement units when the building is built?
It would be at market rental, and I don't know that I would be able to forecast what that would be. I don't know if the applicant's team has any further information about that.
Would the current tenants get right of first refusal at a reduced rate?
All eligible tenants will be offered right of first refusal at 20% below the market rate.
Okay. So market rate for one bedroom is about $2,000, right?
For a two-bedroom currently.
Or a one bedroom.
For a one-bedroom.
Yeah.
Is right now for this zone is $1,741. However, there will be two one-bedroom units in the proposed redevelopment for the rental portion. So it would be studios and two bedrooms is what we'll be looking at.
And what's the market rent for a studio now?
Studio in this zone currently averages out at $1,450.
Okay, so if they got 20%, the returning tenants would get 20% below market?
That would be $1,160.
And that's supposed to happen, right? That they'll get 20% below market?
Yes.
Okay. Will this be a pet-friendly building?
I believe so. Yes.
Okay, thank you. That's it for me.
Thank you, Councillor Swanson. Councillor Carr.
Thanks. I was also interested in the rents, but Councillor Swanson's asked those questions. I'll continue on in terms of the sustainability and the climate and resilience aspects to this. So I think there was a comment that this is a passive design. Does that mean zero net energy, zero net carbon, or zero net GHGs? This is to the applicant.
Thanks, Councillor.
Thank you for the question. Is that Farshid?
Yes.
why don't you go ahead, Farshid?
Thank you. Hi, Farshid Baigari with BC Building Science. We are under the low emissions green buildings path in this development. However, we have incorporated some elegant passive design strategies to minimize the amount of GHG production by the site. This is not a net zero building, but it's a low emission building targeting a greenhouse gas intensity less than 6 kilogram per meter square.
Okay, that's great. Tell me what elements of the passive design that you've incorporated. I'm interested in, what seems to be useful and from your point of view in terms of the architecture
Sure.
design.
One of the key elements is the distributed balconies around each floor that will allow for passive heating during the winter time. The low angle sun will enter the units and warm them up. Also, it allows for daylight usage throughout the year. However, in the summertime, the balconies will block the non-desirable solar gain. So that's another passive cooling strategy that was taken into the account. We also have an improved air tightness plan for this building, which will minimize the amount of infiltration and exfiltration throughout the facade of the building. So we're controlling the heat loss, the uncontrolled or unwanted heat loss from the building envelope with that air tightness of the building. In addition to that, we're proposing heat recovery for the entire ventilation system in this building to reduce the amount of heat demand during the winter time. We're proposing high efficiency building envelope that includes thermally enhanced triple pane glazing system and thermally broken balconies and exposed concrete to minimize the amount of heat loss from the building. And we're proposing a low carbon mechanical system, which is reliant on electricity as the majority of the energy source, with a minor portion from gas for mostly for backup during the winter time.
Okay. Will this be a building that would provide cooling, such as we have to counter such as what, the heat dome that we had last summer? So I don't know if you're using heat pumps or what, but basically, will these be responsive in terms of resilience to extreme summer heat?
That is correct. So that heat pump system will provide both heating and cooling throughout the year, and the system will be sized by considering the climate change in future to capture, the heat domes and all the extreme weather conditions that might happen.
Yeah, I really appreciate that. That's good. My final question has to do about with the urban agriculture for the residents. Is this on the rooftop or in other areas? So is this a green roof in terms of urban agriculture? Or you're distributing some of that urban agriculture opportunities for residents?
Sure. There's two aspects here. The urban agriculture is being provided for residents at level 7 on the rooftop. And on the rooftop of the tower at the very top, there's a intensive green roof, which functions as a natural way to avoid heat gain in the building. So there's two different kinds of vegetation on the project.
Great. Okay, that's great. Thank you. Good to hear. Thank you, Mayor. That's it for my questions.
Great, thanks. Councillor Hardwick, up to 5 minutes, please.
Great, thank you. I'm just trying to get things squared away. So if you could just confirm that this proposal is offering a one-for-one replacement of the rental units that would be demolished. And this is what the city requires. So that 20% of the market rental units, 20% of those, which is 13 units, in the proposed tower would be a below market rental. Is that accurate?
Thank you for the question, Councillor Hardwick. I have a colleague here from the housing group again to speak to that question.
Hello, Councillor. Yes, that is correct. It would be 20% of the floor space area, so it will be depending on how many studio units and how many 2 bedrooms, around between 12 and 14 units that would be offered at 20% below market of the average market rate of Zone 3 at the time.
So we've got 198 strata titled and 66 secure market rental. And of those 66, only 20% are below market rental. So 13 units total.
That is correct.
Okay, thank you. That answers my question.
Thanks so much. That's it for questions. We're going to now go to the public portion of this hearing. Since we had no registered speakers, staff, I will ask if there is anybody on the list to make a first call.
No speakers on the line, and I do not see any in the chamber, Mayor Stewart.
Thanks so much. For a second call, the number is 1-833-353-8610, code 1061445 #. And I'll ask again, clerks, anybody in the chambers or on the line?
Sorry, having a hard time with my microphone. No one coming forward in the chamber and no speakers on the line.
Okay, thanks. And this will be the third call, council. So we're at 6:53. We'll come back at 6:58 to finish this item. So we'll see you in 5 minutes. just see if there's any speakers. Do we have anybody call in or in the chambers, clerks?
And Mayor Surratt, there is no one in the chamber, but yes, we do have a caller.
Great, thanks so much. Caller, if you can just let us know your name and whether or not you're a resident of Vancouver, please.
Hi, yeah, this is Colin Gallagher, and I am a resident of Vancouver.
Great, please go ahead, up to 5 minutes.
Okay, yeah, so really I'm just wondering, I'm a current tenant of this building, and I'm just wondering, do we know approximately when the current students or people in the building are going to be evicted for the teardown?
Yeah, thanks. We don't have in this public forum. In this case, we're listening to your statements, and so it's not a back and forth question and answer. However, a counselor could ask that question to staff after we've heard from all the public speakers. So just to let you know how the process works here.
Okay, so no current answer this time to the current tenants.
Pardon me?
So no current answer as to when the evictions will occur.
A counselor may ask staff that question after we've heard from all the public speakers. So if you just hang on afterwards, we can try to get an answer for you after we've heard from all members of the public.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Councillor Swanson does have a question for you, though, Speaker.
Hi. Are you still there?
Hi, still there, yeah.
Okay, great. Thanks. Thanks for calling in. I just wanted to ask you, as a current tenant, if you would have any intention of returning after the new building is built at 20% below market? Or do you think many of the tenants would?
I'm not sure about other tenants, but I do have an interest myself.
Okay, because I guess what we're hearing is that if the 66 returning tenants return, they could get 20% below market, but if they don't return, we're only going to get a handful of units at below market. So I'm just wondering, in terms of keeping the affordability, what are the chances that we could keep some affordability? And I guess that depends on whether the tenants return or not. So you think
Absolutely.
you would? Yeah.
Well, I think especially first tenants living in a cheaper building, affordability coming back is an indicator of whether or not we'll have interest. So it goes both ways to that subject. That being said, given a price for a unit, if we can get them for 20% under market price, I think there's a fair chance at least myself and a few others would be interested in coming back.
Okay, thank you so much. Appreciate that.
Okay,
Thanks.
thank you.
That's it for questions for you. So, but if maybe you might want to listen to the remainder of the hearing, I'm just going to go back to the clerks and see if there's anybody else on the line.
So I see no one coming forward in the chamber and no one else on the line.
Okay, thanks. So we'll close the speakers list, and we'll also close the receipt of public comments, and just ask the applicant if they have any closing comments, and you can include the discussion that you've heard as well if there's anything you'd like to add there.
Caller's question about when the building will come down. So obviously we're still just wrapping up the rezoning process, and we'll be working on a development permit and building permit following that. So it'll still be at least a number of years before we will be taking the building down, and we will provide advance notice to tenants that are living on site when we reach certain milestones.
Thank you so much. Anything else to add from the applicant team?
Nope, that's it. We're good. Thank you.
Thanks so much. Does staff have any closing comments?
We have no closing comments. Thank you for your time this evening.
Okay, thanks. Any questions to staff from council? Councillor Clerk.
Yeah, no questions. I'm prepared to move the recommendation.
Councillor
Okay, thanks.
DeChenova.
Moved and seconded. Thank you so much. I've opened the queue for debate. Councillor Carr, please go ahead. Up to 5 minutes.
Yeah, I'm really pleased to support this. I mean, this is in the West End. There's three things that are happening that I'm particularly in support of. One is that there is a replacement of the rental units that were on site, and at 20% below market. I'm really happy the caller called in, indicating an interest in those units. If those units are at the rate of currently 1,300 for a studio, it would be renting at 1160 or sorry, 1450 is for a studio, renting then at 1160. I mean, at least these are affordable rates within the Vancouver market. I'm also really pleased that not only is it the replacement of those units, those rental units, there's also a cash CAC, and this is the corridor, Alberni and Georgia, that the West End plan expected to receive CACs that could then fund the public benefit strategy. So the 32.7 million in CACs, I think, is extremely important to the people of the West End in terms of getting the actual amenities that they have been long waiting for. That it's been a long time. I think 2014 since we passed the plan. So I'm hopeful that this will move along that benefit package. I'm also very happy with the climate resilience elements and mitigation elements of this building. The fact that it is a passive design, a low emission building. I really like the element of having a responsiveness both to the need for winter sunlight and the need to reduce summer heat. So many of the West End apartments have this problem of exposure, big windows, it's fantastic views, it's great, for that, but incredibly unbearable in terms of the heat that comes in during the summertime. So that responsiveness, I think, is really important. And I love the heat recovery elements as well. With the low carbon, mechanical, etc., and gas only as backup, which is good. And finally, I'm happy very much about the green roof. I did put that motion forward for a requirement around green roofs in our buildings, so I love to see it. And I love to see also the fact that there is not just a green roof on the upper rooftop, but a garden urban agriculture opportunity at the 7th level. I think food security is going to be a big issue into the future. So any effort we can make to include the ability of people to grow their food is awesome.
Thank you so much, Councillor Carr. Councillor Hardwick.
Thanks. So I've been watching this site for a while, and this application is the second rezoning application for this site since the implementation of the West End Community Plan. Looking back in 2016, the previous owners, Hollyburn, submitted a proposal to demolish the current rental tower and commercial low-rise, and their plan at that time was to construct a new building of 195 secured market rental units, and the application was subsequently withdrawn by the owner. And based on media reports that people can check at that time, the reason seemed to be that proposal for the site was not deemed economically viable within the city's development plan for the West End. And it was sold. The current old owners in 2018, and the current application was submitted in the summer of 2020. So the major issue with this proposal and others along the Alberni-Georgia corridor is that it reflects an unsuccessful approach to increasing housing affordability in Vancouver and the West End. In fact, increased density of primarily strata towers has the opposite effect on affordability. Furthermore, the total number of secure market rentals built thus far is far below the 10% of the overall number promised within 10 years, which I'm sure Councillor Carr will remember. So I know we're not supposed to talk policy here, but I have to ask why such applications are still being accepted and submitted and accepted, because the approach is not working. The second issue here is that the proposal is offering only a 1-for-1 replacement on the rental units that would be demolished. And this is all the city requires. That's clear as I asked the question. But that means that only 20%, in this case 13 units of the proposed tower, will be at below market rental. And it seems possible that the other new units will be even more costly than the current units. Thus, the proposal will not result in an increase in the type of housing that is needed the most. So on this basis, I can't support it, and I hope that this will reflect into future policy discussions. Thank you.
Councillor Swanson.
Yeah, I like the fact that the current tenants can return at 20%, and that in addition to that, there's 20% below market. And for the 32 million in CACs, you could actually build 64 more social housing units. So while I'm not really that enamored of strata, I think the benefits here are, well, they're enough to make me vote for it. Let's put it that way. That's it.
Thank you. Councillor Dejanova.
Thanks. I just wanted to ask a point of information through you, Mayor Stewart, to staff, if that's
Sure.
okay. There had been a question posed in Councillor Hardwick's comments, and I just wanted to ask that actually as a question, because it's my understanding that just from looking at the information that we have in the policy report here, this application would have come long before the policy change that was referenced. Thus, this application would have been kind of grandfathered in a sense, or would have been coming in through that policy. Is that correct? That's what I'm reading. I just want to make sure that's correct.
Staff, are you able to answer that question?
Staff are just coming, Mayor Stewart.
Very much. Councillor Swanson, you might want to mute yourself there too.
Thank you for the question, Councillor Dejanova. Could you please repeat it for me?
So sorry. There was a reference to a policy change that council had recently made around affordable housing, and I understand from the dated policy report here and the history of the application in the policy report, or I should say the referral report, that this application was made long before the policy change that was referenced by my colleague. Is that correct?
I believe this application.
That's inaccurate, sort of.
Sorry, Councillor Hardwick. Go ahead, Steph.
It's our understanding that this application meets the West End policy, the rezoning policy for the West End, the tenant location policy, and the remaining policies it was considered under. So I'm not sure which policy has been since updated.
Okay, but for any change of affordable housing policies, this meets the criteria, or it did, when the application was made. Is that correct?
It met all of the criteria for the tenant relocation policy.